Hi everyone, good evening. So today we are going to cover basics of Excel, right? Um, so yes, I hope all of you are doing well. Please send your name over here so that I can see who is attending the class. Also, those who are watching for the first time, who are attending the live session for the first time, do send a message like new so that I get to know that, just to get an idea of how many people are new first timers. So we have this weekly session. We conduct this live session every Thursday and we cover various topics, mostly related to content writing and digital marketing. But yes, we do tend to go sometimes, which is not directly related to writing, but essentially they help writers or any professionals uh, do well in their professional life. So today is that topic, which is Excel, Microsoft Excel. Yes, Sunanda, Devmitra, Sweta, and Vijay, good evening, everybody. So, Jitendra, good evening. Excel is one such tool that helps everybody a lot, and especially in terms of uh, office work plus tracking your own time, finances, work, projects, doing some mathematical calculations easily. Yes, Ishaq Muhammad Uditi Prabha, good evening, ma'am. Tanvi, Dr. Jinal Jan. Yes, good evening, everybody. Good evening. So now it's time to start now. I will share my screen and pause the video. I mean, the screen will be appearing. Yes. So what we have done is today we are going to very cover the basics of Excel. So I am considering or I am assuming that yes, food is good evening. Ved, good evening. So I'm considering that all of you are novice or just starting with Excel. I know some of you are well versed with it and have done quite well. A lot of work in Excel, but this is, I'm assuming that getting started with basics would be good because even those who do not know anything about Excel, they can also get started, right? So today is the first part. We will continue in the series, maybe two parts more, but today is the first part in which we are going to cover the basic parts. I will now share my screen and we will quickly get started with this. Food is, yes, it's not mandatory for digital marketing, but it's absolutely to absolutely necessary to do well. You have to prepare and represent all the reports in Excel, and if you're good in Excel, you will tend to do much better. If not, then you will just dump the raw data to your clients or to your boss, to your management, and it gives a very bad first impression. Yes, Devmitra, absolutely. In HR also, so there is no function in which you do not use Excel, right? Either you use Excel or Google Sheet, both of have the same functionalities. So that is a good thing. Quickly, let me share the uh, my screen, the presentation. Just give me a moment. Yes. Meanwhile, okay. Also, today session will be slightly different. Yes, Muskan, good evening. So today's session will be slightly different in the sense that we usually do question and answer in the middle of the session, right? I ask questions, you tend to answer that, and we discuss on that. But today session will be slightly different because of the requirement of the topic, and the topic is such that asking in between may be slightly disturbing for others. So what we will do is you can note down all your questions that you may have, and because a lot of practical things will be needed when I will be doing on Excel and you'll be watching that, right? Sometimes you might get bored also, so please don't mind. This is going to be a boring session, I think. Um, can't be done much about that. Um, Also, so please note down all your questions, including the exercises that I will do on Excel. And then later on, we will have a Q&A and where I will try to answer your questions, right? So, okay, let me answer some of them. Coach Avi Sri, okay. So please tell that one page website does not rank on Google. No, it's not true. One page website does rank on Google, but yes, the since the number of pages are very less, so the possibility goes down. So it's always better to have a blog section so that you can add more pages and some more valuable information. Is there any app to go live on YouTube? Foodies, yes, there is. Mobile YouTube app itself is uh, enough to go live on YouTube. OBS, there is Open Broadcasting System, I believe that is the full form. OBS, I use to go live. In one of the sessions, I will cover that also, but OBS you can use to schedule and go live at any point in time. Priyanka, Neil, Vaishali, Arun, good evening. Yes, all right. So now it's time to get started. Okay, just okay. So yes, um, so welcome to 36th episode of the Logo Files Lounge. What started as a dedicated session for content writing has now evolved as a lot of things: content writing, digital marketing, and basics of. Now we are covering Excel today. This tutorial is for beginners. Before I proceed, I thank you all for watching this channel. We have got recently, day before yesterday, we got 1 lakh plus views. That means our videos have been 40 videos. So far, we have uploaded around 40 to 42 videos. Around 1 lakh times it has been seen, right? So, thank you very much. It has been, we have taken around 269 or 70 days to reach to this milestone because we started on October 3rd, 2019, and so far we have uploaded 40 to 42 videos and got this many views. On an average, 400 views per day and 3 minutes per view. So we have around 4,200 public watch hours that I will show you in some of the sessions. Yes, Dr. Jinal, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. So, thanks to all of you for your support. Yes, Sweta, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Now let's get started with the topic. And meanwhile, I'll be sharing my system. We will work on Excel. So I know some of you may find it boring and quite maybe it's dragging or something. So if you want, if you don't have much time, and if you want to watch this later, you can bookmark the link and then you can watch this anytime. So this video is recorded. You can come back anytime and watch that. But do watch, and this is a good concept out there. Devmitra, thank you very much. Thanks for promoting. I request everybody to please share this on your YouTube homepage also, and also on your social media so that we get more and more views. Thanks a lot, Devmitra. Thank you very much. All right, so now let's get started. Um, okay, so this is the agenda that we are going to have today. So Excel structure, we will learn the entire structure of the Excel in terms of how it is organized. Then working with cells, right? Operator based equations. We will see a few equations on how we operate, how we work with equations in Excel. And then we will just see common mathematical functions, some of the functions. We will also know what is the difference between equations and functions in Excel, right? Then we will see print options because a lot of you do not use Excel just because you cannot print it well. And some of you, in fact, use Excel, but then when you take a printout, it's look like something which is completely out of way. I mean, just one Excel file and it will have 10 pages of print. So we will discuss some print tips and tricks so that you can nicely print your Excel document and only those which is required. And certain miscellaneous tips, right? Something common. This is in the first part. On next Thursday, we will cover the advanced part of it. So even if, in case if you are unable to see this today, just watch during the week time so that you can be prepared for the next episode, which is for the 37th episode, right? For the second part of the Excel. We might be taking 60 to 90 minutes to cover that, depending on how many questions do you have and how many concepts exactly do we cover. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Monica, Hari Prasad, Sunanda, Sampa, and Twinkle. Thanks, everybody. So, the first one is Excel structure. By the way, just one thing more. I am using Mac, right? And Excel for Mac is slightly different in terms of user interface. Though 99% of the functionality remains the same, but 1% differs because of the interface of Mac. So, whenever I will say use command, then you have to in your Microsoft Windows you have to use control. Remember this. Whenever I will say press F3, F4, F5, then you have to use F3, F4, F5. In MacBook, it works. Keyboard shortcuts work slightly different. I will tell you the difference then and there. But I do request that right now pay attention to the video right now, to the class, and later on you can do watch the video and practice. Right? Okay. So this is how Excel looks like when you will open the Excel. This is in the MacBook. Once again, there will be slightly difference in MS in Windows. I have taken this screenshot from Windows system. You will find this. There are certain tabs like Home. This is the first page that opens up. Then you will see Insert. I will discuss what is that Insert, and Page Layout, Formula, Data, Review, and View. These are major tabs. This is called tab. Then you will see that below these tabs you have something called, there are certain functionalities which is grouped together. So you will see clipboard, like this one. Look at this clipboard, the font. Now all these is grouped in something called font. Similarly, all these features are grouped together in alignment. Then these all are grouped together in numbers. This is about style. This is about cells and editing. This entire interface, this is called ribbon, Excel ribbon. Okay, and this you can customize as per your convenience. Though we will be covering this customization of ribbon separately in the next episode, slightly advanced, because you don't need to customize for your day-to-day work, but this can be customized. And all the features are grouped together so that if you know that if you have to fix alignment, then you will work in this group. You know that if you have to work with numbers, then you will work in this group, right? In MacBook, these are still grouped together, but these are not mentioned separately, like alignment, number, styles. These are not mentioned, though the grouping has been done, right? So, okay, so this is the structure, and you will see this seat 1. So the moment you open, a seat 1 also opens up. So this is the overview of the front interface that you see when you open an Excel file, right? Yes, Bhaskar, good evening. Yeah, and one thing, if you click on this alignment or font or styles of any of the arrows that you can see here, right? If you will open those arrows, then you will see the detailed version of that, which you will find numbers. Like I have opened this alignment. So alignment, it has various alignment options that you can choose to align the sales and all. That is one way. I do again recommend people do not go on Excel and check it. You have this video recorded. You can check it later on. Just pay attention here so that you don't miss anything. All right. Then how do we work? So let me open an Excel file and then see how the things are organized in Excel. So just let me open that. Now you might see on my screen that this is opened as new, and I have to open a blank workbook. Okay, you might see something vague, but then yeah, um, blank workbook, right? And these are certain templates: total list, make a list, welcome to Excel, track my tasks, etc. We will talk about these templates later on, but let me open the blank workbook. I will double click here and open a blank workbook. Yes. Now, this is how this has opened up. Yes, Bhaskar, good evening. Professor Ekpinsi, good evening. So, as you see, this is the file, and you will see that the same interface that we just saw has opened up. This is Excel has, this is called book 5, right? This is called workbook. So any Excel file, Microsoft Excel file, we call it as workbook, right? This is the right term, workbook, right? Workbook. Okay. Now, uh, okay. Now, if you will see this, now let's go back to the presentation part. A workbook has been organized. A workbook will have multiple worksheets, and each worksheet will have multiple cells. So, right, this entire file, the workbook, has now one sheet one. I can add more sheets, then more sheets. Just I will click on plus plus and you can add more sheets there. So each Excel workbook will have multiple worksheets, right? Do note these terminologies because I will be using that frequently throughout the session. So uh, worksheets, and then each worksheet has something called these rectangular cells. We call it cell, right? Now you have this cell. uh, you know that this is divided into, whenever we use a table we write rows and columns, right? So the columns here in this cell is, Excel is basically a table, right? So here, yes, good evening, Ashu, Neil. All right. So these columns are, you can see A, B, C, D, E, F. These are called columns. So this is column A, column B, column C, column D, column E. These are columns. And this is row 1, row 2, okay, row 3, row 4, and similarly there are n number of rows over there. So these are columns and these are rows. If you put any, if I put my cursor over here, suppose this one. So this one you will see this falls under column C and row 3. So this cell, the unique name of this cell is C3, and that you can see over here. So you will see this is C3, and here you will find the name in this small name cell. You will find the name of the cell. So if I put here, this will be called B column and 1 row. So this is B1, right? Similarly, this is D3. Here you can find this. So each cells are, we know them by their name, and the name is the rows and columns. So when I'm saying D3, that is fourth column and third row. This is how cells are known in Excel file, right? So we will be using this throughout to refer any cell by its name, okay? Then You saw how we can create multiple sheets. So we create multiple sheets here, like sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and sheet 4. Okay, so we create multiple sheets so that we can work on multiple things. So for example, if you have to if you have to make your expenses, suppose you are making your monthly financial budget. So in one sheet you may have all the expenses, in another sheet you may have all the income. But do note that we write in one sheet, we put data, something that can be summarized. Okay, so you have to classify all the data in that manner. You should not put income as well as expenses as well as investment in just one sheet. Create multiple sheet for that. Similarly, whenever we write data, okay, in Excel file, we never write like 5 comma 6 comma 7. We never do it. Remember that every cell is should have one unique value. That's it. A lot of people tend to make this mistake when they enter data in Excel, and that is why that is never processed. Many times when you enter phone number, for example, so you have a habit of using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 10 digits, and then the user has another email ID or another phone number, then you use this backslash and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. Now that is not the right way to store data in Excel, right? Even though if you have stored data in Excel in this way, we have the option to make them into two rows, but this is not the way to store the data. Similarly, you cannot make it like colon or comma, right? So this is not the right way to enter data in any cell. One unique cell should have one unique value, just one value. Then only you will be able to take advantage of Excel, otherwise you won't. Right? Many times people tend to have a habit of using a dot 1, for instance, right? This. Okay? Then um, so you use like B2. Don't do it. It's better if you have to write A1. So write here A and then 1, B2. So my point is that one unique cell of Excel should have one unique value. Remember this. Yes, Mensch Marketing, Mega Singh, Sangita Das. Good evening. So more and more people are joining in. Great. Though it's okay, you can. All right. Remaining sheets, renaming sheets. Okay, so when you will add sheets over here, you will find that it is added as sheet 1, sheet 2. Look at this one in the bottom left hand side. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and sheet 4. Now, that is by default the name has been taken. But that does not mean that you will use this as it is. You have to change this so that it is obvious what all you have written there. So for example, if I am analyzing my company's performance, then I will use in terms of sheet 1, either I will just double click, okay, yes Nisha, good evening, or I will right click and then I will click on rename, and then I will use sales, for example, because I am analyzing sales, right? Then suppose I am analyzing my expenses, then I will rename that. You can either double click there or you can simply right click and click on name. This I can put it investments, right? Nisha, thank you very much. Thank you. So I had got a lot of requests for Excel. That is why I covered that. Some of you have covered other topics also. I have not responded to them. I will cover for sure. So investments. Then suppose you have to track salaries, salary. Similarly, you can add a new sheet. Suppose you have to track time of the people who are working. You can put time. it's up to you, but rename the sheet. This is also one of the best practice, that you should name the sheet so that it someone can understand, or even you can understand maybe a few months later, that what all is there in the sheet. All right, so this is the naming convention of Excel. There are certain other sheet activities that I will just see. So, like suppose if I have written some data here, right? Like this, and I have this data all over again. Like, I will just talk what I have done, but suppose I have written this data, and well, Excel is not free to use, so you can learn the concept of Excel. I understand. So you can use the concept of Excel, and then you can use that in Google Sheet, which is free for use, right? The concepts will remain the same. Yes, Ishika, good evening. So suppose I have fill of data and now I want some changes in that data, or suppose I have to create this same data in a different sheet. Now it is not necessary that you go and create a sheet and then copy this data into the new sheet. You can always duplicate that. So just see that. On time, I will right click and then I can do various things. I can insert new sheet. I can delete this sheet if I want. I can rename it, move or copy. This is also important. So I can also create a new sheet copying the entire thing. So I will click on copy, and then I will choose, these are the name of sheets which are coming in, and I can choose whether I want to copy this specific sheet to a new book or a new file, or this current book, which is book 5. The by default name is book 5. And suppose I have to copy this time sheet. I will tick on this create a copy and I click on OK, and see the time to a new timesheet has been created. So in this way you can, and then I just drag and drop. So suppose I have to take it on left hand side, I can drag it and keep it time to over here, right? Similarly, I can just keep this and drag it and keep it here. So there are various other things that you can perform with the sheets, right? So you can now have this, and you can rename, double click and again rename this as analysis, for example, anything. These are certain things that you can perform with sheets. Tab color, you can also change color if you want. Suppose I have to change this color, change this color, so I can change this tab color. I can do this, okay, so that just to look better, it looks nice. Similarly, if I want, suppose you want to share your data with people in your organization, at the same time you do not want to share salary. Dev Mitra, now this is important to you because you keep working on salaries. So if you do not want to share salary, then what can you do? You can protect the sheet. You can either keep a password, okay, optional, or you can just lock and unlock the cells. Locking, unlocking, password protection, we will use that once again in advanced session where we are going to focus on basic feature sessions. But just that, if you have certain confidential data, it does not mean that just because of that confidentiality you will create a separate file. You can protect that sheet and share that remaining part with others. Similarly, if you do not want a particular sheet to be edited by others, you can lock that so that nobody can edit that. We will cover it as well. So, and then allow users of this sheet to do these things, right? So, no, I'm not typing Nickshell, I'm not typing, I'm just showing it to you on what else is there. So in this particular, this is how you can protect a particular sheet, right? I will just cancel because right now it is not needed. So these are some other activities that you can perform with the sheet. Sometimes, suppose if I'm working here, then I have to save this file. I will simply click on this, save, and then uh, click on save. And then a prompt will come which will ask me for the name of the file that I want to keep. Now, again, I do recommend that while naming anything, you have to make sure that you name your your workbook properly so that you can find it later on, right? So training. So for example, I can write episode 36 live training. That means example, right? These naming conventions are really important. Those who do not follow proper naming conventions, and when they work in offices, they tend to miss their files all the times. When they are searching, they will not get it, and maybe the files will be in front of them, but they will never get it. So have a proper uh, naming convention and then save this file. You will see that there are several file formats that you can use to save the format. So 99 2004 workbook for older version of Excel. I don't think it is needed today. And there are some, like, you can save it as a PDF also file. You can save it as a PDF file as well. And there are some other as a web page. There are various page formats. We will cover in some other part. But this is how you can save this. So now I have saved it so that any changes that I make over here does not get deleted or lost if something happens, if it crashes suddenly. Navigating between various sheets. While working with Excel, one of the most painful things that people find is scrolling, scrolling. The scrolling never ends. And then switching between multiple sheets. This is one of the key reasons why people tend to get frustrated easily with Excel. You have the option for that as well. So for example, one is, suppose I have data over here. Suppose I am on this file. I will just zoom this so that it is visible to you. Now suppose I am over here and I want to know how many columns are there, or let me put some data over here. I'm just using some random data and I will tell you what is the use of that. Suppose I have to use certain random data, and this is until here. Yes, Nancy, you are saying something. Please feel free to say that. Now, similarly, I have, okay, 2, 3, and this way. Suppose I'm going over here and put it in this way. Now, the biggest pain that a lot of people face is when scrolling up and down, how many data is there and how long you can go down, right? And similarly, scrolling first within the sheet and then between multiple sheets. Within the sheets, just put your cursor over here. In MacBook, you have to press Command. Okay? In Microsoft Windows laptops, you have to put Control. So press on Control and then press the down arrow. Just by putting on Control or Command and pressing the down arrow in your laptop, see, I suddenly reach to the end of the data. Similarly, I can put Command and press the up button, up arrow, that goes up, and you will reach to the first data. So you don't have to find this, this thin line and then keep scrolling, because that wastes a lot of time and it creates mental fatigue. So simply what you can do is press this command in MacBook and Control in CTRL in MS Windows and press the down key and you will reach to the end of the data. If you press command and down key, downwards arrow once again, then see what happens. You reach to the end of the Excel file that has around how many rows? 1 48,576, right? If I have to go once again to the very first number, the very first file, I will again press the command button and then press the up arrow and will reach 124, and then once again up and I will reach to 1. Similarly, I can press the command button or control button in MS window and the right arrow now. Press on right arrow and you will reach at the end of the sheet. This is one way, and similarly once again if I will do, I will reach to the end of the sheet. First I reached to the end of the data and then I am reaching to the end of the sheet. That is again you can easily navigate within the sheet. Now suppose if I have to move from sales to expenses to investments, salary, again it's difficult to move from one sheet to other sheet just by this mouse and clicking here. You tend to get, so you can click on any of the sheets, press on command, and then from um, this up and down button, you can just press the command button or control button in MS Windows, and left and right key you can go on this one, right? See this in sorry, the shortcut was Alt in MS Windows and Option in MacBook. Click on Option and then right left arrow to navigate between the sheets. So Option left, it will go on sales, then again it is going on expenses, investments, salaries, time, analysis. So it is changing um, we are going from one sheet to another sheet using um, keyboard shortcut. This is quite simple. This again makes your life quite easier. So remember again to navigate between the sheets easily. Naming a cell, rows and column, we just saw like this is in the C column and 7th row, so we call it C7. And I just told you about command and downward arrow or upward arrow to go at the end of the data or at the top of the data. Good evening, Nimisha. This is not advanced Excel, this is basic Excel. Though a lot of us do not cover this while using Excel, and that is why this sounds advanced, but this is pretty basic. You should know at least this much before you start working with Excel. Then the next part is working with cells. This is somehow more interesting. So when we work with cells, there are certain cell properties which is there, and these are selection, move, autofill, formatting, and border. And for that I will use a file that I have created for this, so that I don't have to write and invest time in creating the data. Just give me a second. Episode 36, where is it? Yes, example, very good. Okay, now see, I had opened a file but I'm not getting it where I saved, right? I created the folder but I did not know. For that, what I can do is I can create on file and go on open recent, and that recent was workbook 1 that I had created for the purpose of the session. So workbook 1, I will click on this and I will open this file. Yes, now let's work on this. So the first part of this thing is selection, on how selection works in cells. Now, all of you know about copying and pasting. Um, let's see whether you know about selection and move or not. So if you have to select anything, suppose I click here and I will just zoom it for you so that this is prominently visible to you. Suppose I click on this cell. Now this cell has been selected, right? This is called the cell has been selected. Um, with this boundary tells that this has been selected. Now suppose I have to select this cell, the column G. So I will click here and then I will simply with shift and down arrow I will click like this, okay, or shift and upward arrow I will deselect or select. So in this way you can select your data. This is called selection property of the cell. You can click and select that, okay. So like in Excel, you through keyboard, if you want to do through mouse, so you put and then drag and drop. This is how you select data. It's always better to do with keyboard so that there is no error, there is no mistake in that. How can you do that? So it can be done by, if you just select in this way, like I click on Monday and then put it shift and then down key, you can select. Then something called move. Now suppose I have to move this data, okay, this data to another column. So what you can do is, once you select this data and you take this, look at this, I am putting this on here on the border of this selection. Now in this there is a hand symbol which is coming in, right? That means it's now catching. You can just click on this hand symbol and see, you can shift it. So I can then move this over here, okay. Similarly, I can catch this. Just tell me one thing, if I am not zooming it, I mean that is if I am keeping it at this size, whether the texts are visible to you or not, because then I will work without zooming. In this size, whether the texts are visible to you or not. So yes, so if I have to move similarly this way, I will just check it out. I will just select this and then I will take my cursor on the border and then I can move the entire row from here to here. And in this way, the entire cell would be moved without copying and cutting and pasting. Similarly, if I have to put it back, I will simply go here and then I will put it here. I will select this and go here and select this. Sorry. Okay, great. Then I will work without zooming. Okay, slightly visible. Okay. Some zoom is needed. So this is how you can move. I hope the move function is clear, right? Because that I have not seen many people using it, but this is very much simple. Just go here and you can use this and move this. Okay. All right. Then comes autofill. Well, that is, selection has one more thing. Yes, Umesh, I will talk about the formulas. Some of the formulas I will talk about it later on, but we will not jump, as I said in the very beginning, that we are not going to jump directly onto formulas. We will first learn it like a child, right? And then I will go into the formula. Now, selection has one more part. Yes, we are not cutting and pasting it. Simply you are moving from one part to another part. You're just moving it, right? Now selection has one more thing, that you can select like this and then you can put on control in MS Shift. Look at this. Suppose I have to select this one. I can select multiple cells if I want. I simply have to press Control key and then click on various cells that you want to select, and all will be selected. So in this way you can select multiple um, just a moment, just a second. uh, just a moment. Right. So I'm just switching off that video because it's creating a disturbance on the screen. So I've switched off the corner video. How to move by keyboard and between the sheets. Okay, for that, what you need to do is just go on the Excel file, right? And in the MS Windows, you have to click on Alt. In MacBook, you have to click on Option. Click on Option and then use right or left key. Okay, right or left arrow, and in this way it will be visible. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the next part of it, which is autofill. And autofill is quite critical in terms of uh, using Excel. Okay, to use any field we use autofill quite frequently. Now, autofill is a very interesting feature. Uh, let's see this. Okay, I will zoom it out a bit so that okay, I have removed video because of that. So I can zoom. Now I have to autofill. Suppose there is I have put in 1 over here. Okay, and I have to use 1 throughout in every cell below. So what I can do is I can simply, the moment you take and select this, you will see a corner, right? This one, the corner which is with dot, big dot. The moment you take cursor there, it becomes a plus. What you can do is you can simply scroll down, drag it, and take it and say this entire one will be copied. When I drag the entire thing and then I click on this plus and on arrow, then okay, Jitendra, I will talk about it. So then look at this autofill options. On this plus sign, I click on autofill options, and this is saying it has copy cells, fill series, fill formatting only, fill without formatting, and flash fill. These are some of the fills that is there, and we will talk about this autofill. These are some of the autofills which exist. So this is where we are talking about this. Okay, I was talking about Jitendra, you were asking about moving this. So simply select and then you will take your mouse, your cursor over here. It will come like, just a second. So suppose you select something and the moment you will take your mouse on the border, it will, the hand symbol will come. In MS Windows, something else might come. Hand symbol will come. Then you can just simply drag and drop. Okay, again you can drag and put it out there. All right, now so this was autofill, and we just saw that it has just simply copied the entire cell. Now let's took this one. This 1, 2 is mentioned over here, so I will take 1, 2, and then drag it further. I will say it on 1 plus, and I will drag it further. And this goes on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now 18. How it has come 18 in this way? If I click on plus, then it has fill series. In the first case, it just copied cells, but in this case, it has filled series. And the reason was that if you remember, in the first part, like we discussed, here only 1 was mentioned. So Excel did not have any formula to figure out on how can you uh, copy cells further, and that is why it just copied 1. Okay, but, or I will just keep it till here. But in this case, it has some pattern. Okay, now it has pattern 1, 2. Then what you can do is, since it is pattern is there is a pattern, so it can be now 1, 2, and then you can autofill until 11. Right? This is, and then I can click and see this is by series, because when there was a pattern in making, then it filled in a series. You can, however, decide that no, I want to keep copy cells. Then you will see just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. If you want to keep it fill series, then it will come in the series, it will pick up the pattern, and then it will fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 11. There is another method. Suppose this is 5, 10. I selected this and see, without dragging it, it got autofilled. Right? See this. Just I'm not dragging it, but still it is getting autofilled. Just have a look once again. I'm taking here my cursor and it is automatically being autofilled. Why? There is a reason behind that. And since we already have 2 columns, which is data until here, okay, and since this is 5, 10 is making a series, so it is taking as a series. And then if you already have some data in the Excel file, you can simply double click. And if you double click, the series will be filled until 11th row, because there are already 2 columns which has data until 11th row. So simply click on this, double click, and it will come until 11th row. Right? And now here you can use fill series option. It is taking series automatically. We will just see formatting and all, but just fill series option. Okay. Then now let's see this one. If I double click over here, see it is taking A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. This is called alphanumeric. A is numeric, sorry, alphabet, and 1 is numeric. So in case if you autofill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so A remains the same, the numeric remains the same, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is moving down, and this is where this is A11. If I double click here once again, if I autofill, see just text is coming, because here it is coming only copy cells. There is no fill series, there is no pattern that exists. Similarly, if I click over here and on text and then I autofill, so see one way that it has filled copy cells, I can do fill formatting only. So there is a possibility that it will just fill the formatting. So it will click on fill formatting. It did not pasted the text, but it just filled the formatting. Similarly, you can use this one also, fill without formatting. Now it is not taking the formatting from text, it is just filling the pattern, the text, right? And similarly, flash fill we will just see. So this is how this works. This is called autofill. And in Excel, if you are using Excel, this is one of the most commonly used function technique in Excel. Now we will remove this from here, and let me see in terms of days and dates what happens. So I will double click over here and see it automatically. It has taken Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it has taken in this way. Now, when in case of days and dates, there are some additional formatting options. So fill days, fill weekdays, and flash fill. Again, we will talk about flash fill later, but formatting only and fill without formatting, we have seen that. Fill days. So just I will take this one. It will remain as it is, because fill days means it will cover all the days. Then Fill weekdays. Now what will it do? It will remove weekends, which is Saturday and Sunday. So fill weekdays. See, it has removed Saturday and Sunday. Where it is most useful, suppose you are making a timesheet or something for people where they need to work on only on weekdays, not on weekends. So you use this autofill, right? Uh, right. So this is about days, filling autofill in terms of days. Then suppose I choose this one and I autofill like this, the dates. Okay. Then I will click over here. Again, same days. See, it is coming like fill days, fill weekdays, fill months, fill years, flash fill. So let's see this fill weekdays. So now dates of weekend has been removed. Means the dates that fall on Saturday, Sunday is not there. Look at this, Friday, 22nd June. Uh, Anything that was falling on Saturday, Sunday has not been taken. Right? Alright. Then if you select again this one and make this months. So now dates remains constant. 16 remains constant, but now it is June, July, August, September, October, November, right? So now it is just filling the months. And dates are constant. Then you can have this fill years. Now it will be having. Look at this function. This part here. Pay attention over here. See this 21. This is 22. So now the date and days, months remains the same, but now years have filled in, right? So this is different way of autofilling that you can use to fill Excel cells. Then formatting, in case if you want to format something, you know this quite well. You can use this to format. So suppose if I have to fill this with the color, and of course I will go this in formatting option. This is about text. I can change the color of text, right? And to fill the cell background color, I can use this color this way, right? If I have to give the border cell over here, then what I can do is I can go, this is about the border, I can make it outside borders. So it will now have the border, right? So this is how you can use this to format any particular cell if you want to highlight them. All right. Next border we just saw. Let's move to the next part. Now, so we just saw autofill by dragging versus double click. We saw both autofill in all directions. So just we saw like autofills can happen like in this way. It can happen either horizontal or vertical in the both ways. Autofill numbers, text, alphanumeric. Options, we just saw copy cell series with or without formatting. Autofill days and dates, autofill dates option, and then using fill tool. Now that is also quite an interesting tool. So fill tool is something, suppose if I have to this use 1 until 1000, suppose, okay. Now one way is, suppose I have to say 1, 3, 5, 7, and suppose I have autofilled in this way. Okay, Demitra is saying formulas also, date and time function is there, we can use that. So Demitra, in which sense are you saying that? Just clarify that thing. So okay, so suppose 13579, but I want to fill this until 1000 or 1001. So one way is that you drag until 1001 comes in, right? But that again becomes lengthy and difficult thing to do. The best thing to do is you can use this fill. Now in fill, you have to fill down, right? So click on down. Just a moment. Series, click on series. It is saying columns, we have to fill the columns. Type is linear. Step value is 1. You can decide either 1, 2, 3. Suppose step value is 2. And stop value is 1001. And click on OK. Sorry, this is 1. And yes, writing for writing date, you can use the date and time. But I will come on that. I just here trying to fill this until 1001 with a step value of 2. But without dragging with this fill tool. I will here click on series. Step value 2, stop value is 1001 because I want to fill till 1001, and then I will click on OK. Just a second, why it is not taking. Okay, sorry, it was filling this. Just a second. 1 series, step value is 2, stop value is 1001. It will be in columns and then OK. See, it has filled until 1001. So you don't have to drag so long. And you have to take care that in Excel, if you are dragging, dropping and facing a lot of problem in navigating within the sheet, it means you are not using a particular tool. There are tools for everything that you can do. Okay, so this one, this is using this fill tool. Similarly, you can use up, right, up, left, down, all the fills that we used. Then comes something called flash fill. That is very important, and that's are used by digital marketers, salespeople to fetch email ID of their potential clients and prospective clients. Now, how does autofill works in? So autofill works suppose like, how this flash fill works. Flash fill. So this works in this way. Now suppose I have written here first name and last name, and some people here I've written the name, right? Now what I can do is I can put a full name over here. Suppose I'm putting here first name and last name. I'm putting here Saket Singh. Okay, so I have created this. Now Excel will get the pattern that okay, you put in Saket Singh in the full name. So what you can do is now I will place my cursor here, go on fill, and then use flash fill. And see, automatically it is making Anshu Arora, Kavita Sarma, Aman Verma, Sudha Tripathi. It is exactly, it is taking in this way, right? Flash fill seeks the pattern, okay, and then make it fill the other rows as well. I will show it once again. So look at this one. First name and last name were written, okay. I went there, I made it Saket Singh over here. So I have to combine these both, Saket and Singh, Saket Singh. I want these four names also to put in there. So there are, if thousands of rows, then you have to go and manually enter that. But without doing it, you can simply click here, go on fill, use flash fill, and this will be filled. Suppose now I'm using my email ID. Now I'm giving some email IDs over here. This, right? Now I will use just two email IDs to give Excel a pattern, that this is the pattern that has to be followed. Okay. Then click over here, go on fill, and then click on flash fill. See, automatically it is creating these email IDs. Similarly, in email 2 also, many organizations use first name and surname both as a email ID. Suppose I am going here sakib.singh@6pl.com. In this particular case, anshu.arora@6pl.com. Then what happens? I will just click my mouse over here, go on fill, and use flash fill. And now it has taken this email ID. So this is another way of getting this data filled up. Now, how salespeople use that? So you can go on LinkedIn. So for instance, you can go on LinkedIn, and this is used extensively by a lot of people, especially for prospecting. Suppose if you want to target a particular organization, you don't know who is the decision maker. You go on LinkedIn. It's opening. It's taking, as usual, it's taking some time. Find out, search name of the company. So suppose you, okay, it's still taking some time. So search the name of the company. There you will find the employees listed over there. Okay, so suppose I am using this company, my own company, 6PL. Suppose I go here. Then on LinkedIn companies page, if I check this as view as member, then you will find the total number of employees who are there on LinkedIn. 26 employees, for example, listed here. So I will click on 26 employees. Now this is everybody who is listed 6PL in their company profile will be coming here. And then what I can do is I can take the entire name, these names, and there are tools for fetching those names also. They can just get it and put it there on the Excel file, right? And then you can use mix and match of email IDs and use flash fill to create. Suppose you got one email ID, that one person is using the first name, right? Suppose anyone's email ID, and you know that this company uses first name as their core email ID, das@6pl.com, the first name @6pl.com. Then you can use this auto flash to almost figure out email of everyone. Then you can send them an email asking for the right person. And that is why you would be seeing, if you work in a company, that almost all employees or many employees get one email from the same salesperson, that please connect me with the right person. This is how it is done. The auto flash fill is used primarily to search for emails. All right, so let's move to the next part. And this is how you use fill tool, right? So if you have to fill a lot of things, 1000, 2000, 3000, 5000, 10,000 data, then you can use this, right? By the way, it is also used to print certificates. Suppose if you have to print multiple certificates and send it to a lot of people, this can be used. We will though cover it in a later stage, but that can also be used. All right, then let's move to the next part, which is okay, so flash fill options we just saw. Then cell reference. Okay, when we work in Excel files, so okay, cell reference. See, I told you the name of the cell in Excel cells we take by their rows and columns, right? So suppose this is the data and I'm saying 6, 8, 10, 12, which is kept over here. Okay. Now, what is a reference? Cell reference is something, suppose I have to put. So this is called A2. Okay, this particular column which I have selected is called A2. Now suppose I have to paste, or I have to put the value of this A2 in another cell. So what I can do is I can use the reference cell reference. Cell reference are of three types: relative reference, absolute reference, and mixed references. Absolute relative reference is most commonly used, and all of you might be using that knowingly or unknowingly. So what can be done? Suppose I have to fill the exact value of 6 over here. Okay, or suppose some people earn 6,000 salary, 8,000. I'm just taking it as an example, and you have to use an let's first use this one. I will use equal to, and then I will take the reference of A2. Okay, after clicking equal to, I clicked on this cell, and then I will click over enter. Now this is coming as, this is picking up this cell, right? The value of this cell, because if you look at the function, this is referring to cell A2. If I click on double click over here, that means filling, auto filling, then you will see 8 is equal to 8, 10 is equal to 10, 12 is equal to 12. Why? Because if I click over here, you will see A5. So when I dragged it, okay, when I am dragging this reference automatically increasing. So this will refer to A3, this will refer to A4, this will refer to A5, and equal to sign means the value of A5 will be reflected over here. When it is more useful, suppose you earn 6 rupees a day. Okay, just I am taking one example, and I have to calculate how much do you earn in 365 days. That means in a year. So what I can do, I can click over here, I can use A2 multiplied by 365, and then I can just enter, and then I will double click, so it will calculate the value of all the cells which is taking. So that becomes that is why the reference cells are taken. So relative reference is equal to simple taking that cell and clicking here, right? uh, yes, then comes absolute reference. So absolute reference is, now look at this one, suppose I click over here equal to, then I take this one, it becomes relative reference, it is taking the value of B2. But again I will click over here, and now I will make dollar sign to $B and $2. By the way, you can put this dollar by shortcut keyword also. So simply select this B2 in function and put F4. By putting F4, this is automatically becoming $B, $2. And if I click over here, then it remains 6. And if I drag it, it will remain 6. Why? Because the moment we put $B and $2, $B signifies that value of B column will be constant. So we will take just column B. And $2 signifies, $2 tells us that the second row is also fixed. So $B and $2 means this is fixed. So when we are dragging it, the reference will not change. It will exactly come B and 2, 666. Now let's take this another way. If I click here, again take A2 for instance, and now I will again select this and use F4, again F4. Now this is making mixed reference. In this particular case, second row is fixed, but the column will change. So if I drag it in this way, it is still 6 is coming, and the reason is because the row, second row, the value is fixed. But if I drag it in the right way, horizontally, here also it is coming because this $2 is fixed. So what we do in this case in terms of referencing is relative reference. None of these are fixed. If you drag, C will also change, the column will change, and row will also change. In absolute reference, the data is fixed. Absolute reference is mostly used for fixed values. So suppose if I have to convert pound into INR, £1 is equal to, I know, one Great Britain pound is equal to 92 rupees, right? And I have to change this entire value uh, into INR, and this is in pounds. So I can use this absolute reference. So I can combine this multiplied by into this one. But then I will not take E1, I will make it absolute value. And then if I will drag it, see, the multiplication is done only by 92. Why? Because now this value remains the constant. If you drag it down, this will not change. So that is called cell referencing. This is called absolute reference. And then sometimes we use mixed reference. So remember this, a lot of times this is useful in making the right calculation. All right. Yes, data freezing. Absolutely, Devmitra, right. Okay. Then coming quickly to the next part, operator-based equations in Excel. So some of the equations that we see, and that is very easy, you know, I've taken the easy one in this way. So there are certain basic functions which are there: bracket, addition, subtraction, multiply, divide, power, concatenation, and percentages. These are some mathematical equations that we can do in Excel. So how it can be done? So let's see this. So these are January and February sales. This is item from 1 to item 20. Now if we have to add these two, I will simply click on equal sign, this plus this. This is added, and then I will double click. It will autofill all this part, right? This is plus. Similarly, minus is also very simple. You know this minus this one, and then you double click, and this is also changed, right? This is minus. Multiply, again, you know that it's quite simple. Something we use star mark for that. So equal sign, we have to put equal sign, then only it will work. If you do not put equal sign, then it will not work. So this one is equal to, suppose I have to multiply this by this one, and this is just a number, this is not a percentage number, right? So it is coming in this way, and then you can drag and drop once again. Okay, so this is multiplications, and similarly you can perform other mathematical functions also, equations also. This is equation. If you have to check this, simply double click on this, and see, this is blue and this is red, so it means we have taken two cells. One is B3, second is C3. You can anytime go here and check of which two cells and which functions are applicable. Just simply have to click on double click on the cells, right? Power means, suppose if I put it here equal to 2 raised to the power 3, that means 2 into 2 into 2, so 8. This is equal to, Devmitra, we will come to that functions and what is the difference. But yes, the equation, I was just talking about the equations. And then in Excel, some predefined equations are known as functions that we will just see. Similarly, 4 is 2 raised to the power 5. It means 5. That means you have to multiply 4 5 times. Percentages. How do we calculate percentages? So this is equal to, suppose this is 200. You have to calculate 10% of 200. So 200 multiplied 10%. So that is 20. Then the next one over here was concatenation. That this is used to combine two cells. So for example, here you can use equal this n% this, and this will concatenate, and then simply you double click and this will concatenate, right? So concatenation is primarily used for text concatenation when you multiply to not multiply, you can combine two columns together. All right, divide you understand, percentages you know very well. These are equations. Then we come on the last part of it, the second last part, which is mathematical functions in Excel. So now the functions are predefined formulae. So we just saw a few formula. These formulae, if you make a predefined, there are predefined functions. Predefined equations are known as functions in Excel. Usually it starts with an equal sign. Okay, if there is, if you do not use with equal sign, do not start that with equal sign, that means you won't be able to use any function. And let's see the parameters of a function. So yes, now there are two ways we can see this. Let's see a few functions now. The screen is not clear, especially when you were typing formula. Okay, let me just make this, change this and enlarge this. Now it should be clear, I believe. So let's see this. There are two ways to add these two things. So I click on equal to this plus this value, enter. We added 588. Now look at this. Suppose I make it NA. Then say this is coming a value error. That means the value is not being accepted over here. Why? What needs to be done? Because plus sign, the formula that we have kept, it can only work between two numbers. It can only add two numbers. So therefore, using this plus signs are not very effective. This is called equations. So equations are not very effective. It also becomes quite cumbersome. If you have the large Excel file, you cannot keep on adding numbers. So what do? There are some Excel have there a certain predefined formula that we use, right? So formula you will see, and these are all the formulas. We will learn them one by one, but not all of them today. Today we will learn just the basic part. If we put here in value, now let's see, learn something about functions. Most basic function is sum when we have to add these two. Suppose I click here equal to sum. Now you will see the moment you start typing, there will be some functions will come in drop down, and you will see that in the top most recently used, and then there are functions like search, sec, all the functions which are starting with S. One way to find out how many functions exist, and if you want to learn all the functions, so simply you just type A. All the functions will be listed by A. Then type B. Similarly type C. Okay. Then SU. Suppose I have to use sum function, so I use SUM. And this is sum. Now this is the function. If you have to use, either you can press on tab. So I pressed on tab. Now look at this, why this is coming. In the drop down you will see sum, you will see number 1 in bold. That means now I have to put number 1. But here you will see number 2, and that too in capital parenthesis, in capital bracket, and not like number 1. Now what is the reason for that? Why number 1 is not in bracket and number 2 is in bracket? So let's see this. Number 1, we will put number 1 is this, and then comma, it is saying number 2. Just have a look. Number 2 is not, number 2 is now in bracket. For us, number 2 is this. Sum B2 comma C2, and then I will press enter. This is coming 588. That means it has summed up, right? So this is, you can do. Let's see if this is working or not. This is also working. That also you can use, but the right way of using, you can see this is comma is coming, right? Now what if I do not use number 2? I use just B2. So, and let me enter. Still it is coming because it is adding just one number with itself, which is 245. It is not adding both the numbers because we entered just one number. Again, let's see. B2, right? Then I will not enter anything. Then see what happens. Now there is a problem with this formula. Not trying to type a formula when the first character is an equal sign or minus. Now this is the fatal error. This is called fatal error, means without this formula cannot work. Okay. Now in this case, always remember, and this will be very useful for you whenever you learn, we will learn advanced functions, is when you click on sum and when the numbers come in, anything which is not in bracket is critical. It is very important. Without that, a number cannot work. But if the things are in bracket, that means without that, the function can work well. Okay, so in this particular case, at least using one number is mandatory. Then only this function will work. Whenever you have any problem in using a function, remember that means you are not using a particular number which is not in bracket. The number which is there in bracket are optional. That you may or may not use. It will definitely work, right? So now this is working. There is another thing with sum, is like suppose sum, and I can use tab. Then I can use this series of numbers plus, suppose the colored ones I'm trying to add, and this numbers, right? And then enter. It is not coming, right? So why? Because the series cannot be added. Then what you need to do? Now let's see this one. This has done. So when you click on sum, you either use a number or series of numbers. You can use the series of numbers, comma. The second element could again be one number or a series of numbers. That is fine. And that is why using functions are more useful and easy as compared to using equations. Okay, sum, then average. Let's see if, let's try a few things, right? So suppose I have to use average of January sales. So what I can do is I can equal sign average. In drop down it is coming average, tab, and then I will select these all. Okay, enter. Now average is coming 264. You know average means, what does the average means? So average is 264. Then if the next one is count. Now count is very interesting. And let's try something. What I will do is, let me remove this without fill. I will make it no fill. Now let's look at this. How many counts? Count uses the total number of items, how many counts are there. Though it seems quite simple, but let's check this. Equal to count tab, and then I will select all the values. Right? It is saying 20. Now, the moment I put something on count, pay attention here. It is saying value 1 and value 2. That means it is asking for value. So I will put it value. Now, if I make this B, C, D, D, E, B, and I will keep this one blank and this one blank. Now see what is the count is returning. Count is returning only 15. Why? Because count, this simple count does not count anything other than values or anything other than numbers. And therefore, this count is only returning value as 15. And the reason is very simple. It is not calculating this, 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 and this, right? So simple count formula does not take into consideration the empty cells and anything other than value, okay, numbers. Then the second is count A. Now count A characters counts the characters as well. So now I will put count A, okay, count A, and I will just remove this. I will put count A. Let's put this count A. Now it is saying 18. So now count A counts number as well as the text. Then there is another formula which is count blank. It just counts the empty cells. There are some other count functions as well that we will study in the next session. Right? Count blank is only 2. That means there are only 2 blank unit cells, blank cells. Now there is something called max and min. So maximum value out of a range and minimum value. So just quickly we'll use max and we will select the range. You will find the maximum value out of these ranges. Sorry, there is some is equal to max, and then we will select a range. 283 is the max. Similarly, you can use min and minimum is 245, right? Now max min के अलावा there are large, in addition to max and min, there are other functions also, which is large, small. Now you calculated max or minimum, max and minimum. How will you calculate the second largest number or the second smallest number? So with min you can calculate the minimum number, with max you can calculate the maximum number, but how do you calculate max, second maximum, second largest, or second smallest number? So in this case what you can do is you can use large. Now see this array and k. So if we select array, which is the range, and then comma 1. Now this is saying the largest value, which is again equal to maximum value. But if I put it 2, that means it will give you the second largest value, that is 281. If I put it 3, it will give you the third largest value, right? And exactly same way the small function also works. Small, 1 will give the minimum value, 2 will give the second smallest, and 3 will give the third smallest, and so on and so forth, right? So this is common functions. We will cover other functions as well in the advanced section, but just to give you an idea of, just to get some work for practice that you can do, you can use these functions that we use frequently to solve some of the daily challenges in our at our workplace. The last part, which is print options in Excel. Now we will quickly go through this. Certain things when we start printing in Excel, you will find there are a lot of problems. I think we are exceeding time already, so I will quickly go through it, and rest of it we will cover in the next episodes. So just have a look on this part. Um, this one. So suppose I have to print this. Okay, go and just Control and P you will do, and the print command will come. This will come, and you will see that it is coming in 2 pages, right? It is coming in 2 pages. Now the print will not come properly in this way. Okay, so in 2 pages come, and the second page will come this one, which is, you know, how it will look like. So what you can do in that case is that you can go on page layout, and from here you can control these items. You can use these tools to print certain things. See here, the grid lines and the headlines, headings and grid lines. If select this print, it will show you the printable area, like it is showing in dotted areas. If you can see, after G it is showing the dotted area. That means through G it will come one page, and then after G the second pages will come. Headings, if you want to print, then it will now print the headings also, which is A1 to A, B, C, D, and in the row it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So, but we will just, now suppose if you want this entire in just one page. So one is you change the landscape, which is orientation from portrait to landscape. Then this print goes to till K, command P, right? Now this is coming at one page. But the challenge with this is, since there are only 21 items, that is why it is coming on one page. Had it been 35 or 30, which could have ideally come in portrait in just one page, this will not work. In that case, you can click on margins, and normal is this one. No, margin is something that gives you on printable paper on the margin on top, bottom, left, and right. You can click the narrow margin and see, just by doing the narrow margin and then use the print button, and you will see that it is coming on one page. Okay, why this happens? This is because now the left and right part is not much vacant. Okay, it is now small part is left on left and right of the paper, and therefore it is printable. Let me just open that. Yes, right. So yes, so this one margin. Then you can also set custom margin. If you do not want to leave any spaces, then you can use custom margin as well. You can also use for header and footer. If you want to use something in header and footer, you can use any text that you want to use, right? Second thing is orientation, paper size. You can select paper size from here, whichever paper size you want to use. Okay, A4 size standard, we use A4 size, so the paper size is given on which you want to print. Then page break, this we will cover in the next episode. That will be better because we are already exceeding time, and I want to give you proper time for question and answer. So just doing it in a hurry will not solve, because printing, I believe, is quite important. Either I will create a separate video and upload them before next session, or I will try to cover that in the next episode, right? So yes, next we will to be continued in the episode 37. We will try to do some more advanced functions as well as the printing part which we left over here because we are exceeding time. Yes, so any questions now? Any questions that you may have, feel free to ask. Yes. Please let me know if you have any questions related to this and before we wind up. Also, if you have any particular suggestion that you want me to cover in this Excel in the next episode, please tell me. I will try to cover that in that sense. I do request that you have to do some practice just in any way that you want, just random, rough kind of practice. And the same formula that we use in Excel, we also use in Google Sheet and other spreadsheets also, right? And that will help. Okay, how to move cells within sheet by keyboard. By keyboard. Okay, I need to check if it is by keyboard it is possible or not, because in this way you are taking it and you have to use cursor for that. I don't think, let me check if this is possible to do it by keyboard. There must be some shortcut, I do not know. I will check this out and tell you later on. Excel is too vast. Remembering everything is difficult. We use the advanced version. Right. Demitra, I did not understand which advanced version. That means, but yes, I agree. It is too vast and it's quite a challenge to remember everything. So it's basically it comes with practice. The more you will practice, the more you will learn. Right? Yes. Anything else? So, all right. I was expecting this to be shorter, but I don't know how the time got expected, but got extended. But okay, that's fine. So, any questions? Anything else? All right. So we are going to end the session now, and we will see you once again on next Thursday. Okay. See you soon, and thank you very much. Please like and share this video with your friends and on your social media. Right. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining in. Thank you.